Not all love stories begin with roses and candlelight. Some start with hate, jealousy, and fear. Today's story is about a boss and her employee, Sarah, and Jake, who couldn't stand each other until one night. Everything changed. Sarah had worked at the company for years, slowly climbing the corporate ladder. Jake was the new hire, arrogant, confident, and always challenging her authority. As Sarah's employee, he had no respect for her rules. Every project turned into a battle of egos, and the tension between them grew by the day. Sarah found Jake's attitude insufferable, while Jake thought Sarah was too controlling, too strict. They avoided each other when possible, but when they had to work together, the office seemed to catch fire with their arguments. One day, everything shifted. Sarah noticed Jake talking and laughing with one of their coworkers, too much laughing, too much flirting. For reasons she couldn't explain, it bothered her. A lot. She tried to ignore the knot in her stomach, but jealousy was creeping in. And Jake? He wasn't immune either. When he saw Sarah having lunch with a client, smiling and talking in a way he had never seen before, something dark and possessive stirred inside him. The thought of Sarah with someone else, it didn't sit right with him. That evening, as the office emptied out, Sarah and Jake found themselves staying late alone. The building was quiet, too quiet. The lights flickered, and a strange noise echoed the empty halls. Sarah's heart raced as the air seemed to thicken with something unspoken.
Did you hear that? What was that?
Relax. It's probably nothing, right? But the fear wasn't just about the strange noises or the flickering lights, it was something else. Something deeper. It was the fear of what they might do if they were left alone too long, with nothing to distract them from the pull they both felt but refused to admit. Suddenly, the tension between them reached a boiling point. Jake stepped closer, his eyes locked on Sarah's. She could feel her pulse quicken as his presence overwhelmed her, filling the room with heat. Before she could stop herself, Sarah pushed him away, but he grabbed her wrist roughly, desperately. "Why do you keep fighting this, Sarah? What are you so afraid of?" She could feel the anger in his grip, but also something else, desire. The same desire that had been haunting her ever since she saw him with someone else. Without thinking, she pulled him closer, their faces inches apart.
You think I'm scared of you.
Their lips collided in a mix of anger and passion, the years of hate between them dissolving into something neither of them had expected. The office, once a battleground, became a place where walls were crumbling, not just the walls between them, but the ones they had built around their own hearts. But here's the truth, Sarah wasn't afraid of Jake. She was afraid of herself, afraid of the feelings she had been burying for so long, afraid of losing control, of letting herself be vulnerable. In that moment, Sarah and Jake both learned a lesson. Fear isn't always about danger or darkness. Sometimes, fear is about facing what's inside of us, the jealousy, the desire, the truth we don't want to admit. For Sarah and Jake, the scariest part wasn't the empty office or the strange noises, it was the fear of falling for someone they once hated. That night, something changed between Sarah and Jake. The rivalry that had driven them apart became the force that brought them together. They realized that what they had been fighting against for so long wasn't hate, it was love, buried under years of fear. Have you ever been afraid of your own feelings? Afraid to admit that someone you thought was your enemy might be something more? Tell your story in the comments below. And remember, sometimes the biggest fear we face is love.